Welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Gender and Development Studies, SOGDS, Postgraduate Diploma in Women's. It also empowered the scattered black women population in other countries as well. Black feminists argued that they have been oppressed by relations of gender, race and class. Black feminist accounts are significant due to its critical reading of the genealogy of racism, gender and class. In this unit, you will learn about the historical trajectory of black feminism. The fundamental, theoretical perspectives will be analyzed in the particular context to know the core debates on black feminism. In addition to those rudimentary dimensions of black feminism, you will also understand the debates on civil rights, music, black queers, Black Lives Matter and black feminist engagements with films. 3.2 Learning Outcomes. After going through this unit, you will be able to explain the formation and historical background of black feminism among Afro-Americans, trace the genealogy of the movements based on race, identify issues and the tensions among black feminists in the present context, understand the debates on civil rights, music, black queers, Black Lives Matters and black feminist engagements with films. 3.3 Formation of black feminism. Black feminism has articulated the voice of black women which was never raised by mainstream white women feminists. Black women have argued that race was not part of the analysis of white feminists' movement. Black feminists claim that the issues of black women were marginalized by the hegemonic discourse of U.S. white women. The black feminists not only postulate their oppression based on gender, race and class but also criticize the black patriarchal structure. They explored the history of the slavery system in terms of economic exploitation, production, income, resources and sexual exploitation of black women. In the next section, you will learn about the history of black feminism. 3.3.1 History of black feminism. Black feminism created distinct identity in the history of global thought. There is stratification among the black women on the basis of nation, ethnicity, class and so on. Therefore, the history of black women is unique due to their plural experiences. It would be interesting to look at the different forms of activity of black women, as well as the history of black women activists and their collective assertions. For instance, Sojourner Truth, Isabella Baumfree, born in New York State, 1797. 1883, was a slave and traveling preacher. She delivered powerful lectures on the abolition of race and on suffrage. She emphasized on the plight of black women, and also challenged the stereotypes about black women. In one of her pioneering speeches, Ain't I a Woman? She argues that she is from a different nation, i.e., the country of the slave. This expression shows her understanding of her sidelined existence as a slave and woman. She contends that black women are equal to black men in the context of their rights. However, there is a silence about the rights of black women. She delineated that merely providing rights to black women is not going to challenge black patriarchy. Anna Julia Cooper is one of the renowned black woman activists from the United States, 1858 to 1964. She was a slave who later worked as a teacher and school principal. She was active as an essayist, lecturer and organizer for women's and civil rights and educational reform. She earned her PhD at the age of 65. She is known as a social activist, educator and one of the early black feminist theoreticians. She was the founder of the Colored Women's League in Washington, D.C. in 1894. She also helped to conduct the National Conference of Colorado Women in 1895. She was one of the founding members of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, WCTU. She considered this as a living embodiment of women's activists. Another historical figure that needs to be remembered in the context of black women assertions is Mary McLeod Bethune, 1904 to 42. She was one of the outstanding black women Activists from United States. She was an educator, civil rights activist and organizer of Daughters of Slaves. She was the founder and president of Bethune-Cookman College, 1904-42. She is the founder of National Council of Negro Women. She is the first woman who managed a federal agency, the Division of Negro Affairs, and focused on conditions of domestic service, child welfare, education, lynching issues, the public press and suffrage. She considers these aspects as some of the core dimensions of the lives of blacks. However, black feminists such as Mary Ann Weathers provided radical perspectives related to the liberation of black women. She was part of civil rights movement of the 1960s. She joined in the black feminist movement later. She argues that black assertions suffer from patriarchy. She raises the questions such as if black men themselves are not liberated, how can they liberate black women? She pointed out the internal patriarchy among the black community. She criticized the black women who confined themselves within the non-black, dominant feminist circles. She considers black women as the most oppressed and degraded minority in the world. Therefore, she argues that black women have to claim for their place. She also urged black women to forge affinities, irrespective of their stratification on the basis of class, education and poverty. At the same time, she advocated solidarity with non-black, poor women. She cautioned about the impact of conflict-generating racist ideology on the blacks as well as the whites. The South African women protested against pass laws in 1913. The Giriama resistance plays a vital role in the history of black women. The Giriama are a group of people who belong to the place called Kilifi of the East African coastal region. Makatlili started the Girima resistance during the oath swearing campaign among women and men at Koya at 1913. Pair women protested against the colonial taxation. They are the ethnic group who belong to Pair Mountains of northern Tanzania. They marched to Tanganwikan district headquarters in 1913. It was a resistance against the taxation of their husbands and sons. They argued that their husbands should be allowed to home from migrant wage labor. Kikuyu women were against the colonial labor policies in Kenya. They produced songs that insult the colonial labor policies. Kom women were part of nationalistic politics. In British Cameroons during 1958, some black women were arrested during the Mau Mau revolt during the period of 1952 to 1960. Some among them also worked as groups medicine, food and weapons to forest fighters. Several among them went to forest to take care of those children and men who were part of the revolt. Others took arms and joined in the revolt. Black women founded organizations such as Lagos Market Women Association, 1920s, Nigerian Women's Party and Abeokuta Women's Union, 1940s. These organizations focused on resistance against colonial taxation, organized markets, women and women's welfare. Bibi Titi Muhammad, the leader of the women's musical group Dar es Salaam, mobilized women and beer brewers under the Tanganyikan nationalist movement. Van Allen argues that black women had common economic anxieties during the pre-colonial period and it resulted in their political agency. Black women participated in the major activities of NACCP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. During 1909 to 1945, black female teachers were present in the New Orleans branch. Abolitionist leaders such as Harriet Jacobs, Harriet Tubman, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper talked about race and gender. Angela Davis and Kathleen Cleaver were active in the Black Panthers movement in the 1960s, according to Carol Moseley Braun. The civil rights activism was one track and the electoral process was the other. She was the first black woman to serve in the U.S. Senate. A hybrid identity based on the intersection of black and woman formed through the advent of black women into the political arena. In the next section, you will learn about the various dimensions related to solidarity and critique of Black feminist discourse. 3.3.2 Understanding the solidarity and critique of Black feminist discourse. Black feminism is not a stream in the wilderness among feminisms. It has a genealogy of its own. It challenges the foundations of grand feminisms in a productive fashion. This unit explores the committal pluralistic strands within the Black feminism. Oyeronke Oyewumi in her path-breaking paper Visualizing the Body, Western Theories in African Subjects, maps the dynamics of sisterarchy and its other. She argues that feminist scholars deploy cross-cultural data to study different sections of women without considering their differences. She explores feminist erasures in terms such as Eurocentric as well as racist. Thus, she locates the social space of gendered African subjects. Patricia Hill Collins' identity as a woman belonging to that community. She argues that African American women have a self-defined standpoint on their oppression. 1990. She, however, Collins foregrounds that the relationship between Black women's standpoint and Black feminist thought is dialectical in nature. The everyday knowledge forms of the women are articulated by experts among those women. Such articulations provide Black women a different consciousness to differentiate themselves from hegemonic social order. Thus, Black feminist thought articulates the already existing forms of knowledge of Black women and provide new tools to challenge the hegemony of dominant feminism. Collins also traces the Black women's genealogy of ideas through practices and theories of organic Black woman intellectuals such as Anna J. Cooper, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell and others. An Afrocentric feminist sensibility emerges through her oppositional intellectual culture. Collins differs from value-neutral, white, feminists. She deconstructs Dorothy E. Smith's notion of everyday as the individual condition of white middle-class women. On the other hand, the notion of everyday becomes collective come individual in the life worlds of Black women. Let us read more about Patricia Hill Collins. Patricia Hill Collins is one of the most well-known contemporary Black feminist theorists who has explored the nature of the category of Black feminist. She raised the questions such as who can be a Black feminist. She argues that Black feminist thought is abound with plural and contradictory meanings. According to her, Black women distribute experiences to enrich Black feminist consciousness. She shows the connections between the lives of Black women and their knowledge production. Black feminist thought, according to her, is the specialized knowledge produced by Afro-American women which foregrounds the standpoint for Black women. Their survival is determined by the knowledge of the dynamics of race, gender, and class subordination. Their wisdom lies in assessing that knowledge. It is more related to community than the individual. She theorizes the location of Black female African American as the outsider within. The category of outsider within shows the experience of being a part of the community and the simultaneous exclusion from it. She also dismisses the positivist epistemology as Eurocentric, masculinist in nature. She emphasizes the Afrocentric worldview that is unique and opposite of the Eurocentric worldview because the Afrocentric point of view is collective and opposed to individual interests. In the next section, you will learn about the current debates in Black feminism. 3.4 Current debates in Black feminism. Some of the debates that engage with the questions of race and sexuality provide different readings to the discourse of race and sexuality. In order to engage with the current debates, one always has to situate oneself within the historical trajectory of the Black feminism. It is important to understand the contributions of the Black feminist thinker Audre Lorde, 1934 to 1992, on the question of sexuality, race and Black feminist politics. She is from United States and described herself as a Black lesbian feminist warrior poet. She was a poet, activist and founder of Kitchen Table, Women of Color Press. She argues that mainstream feminist movement ignores the question of race, sexual preference, class and age. Thus, their category of sisterhood is pretentious in the case of its homogeneity of experience. She also argues that there is bias in the mainstream curriculum related to colored women's writings. Those writings are treated as the other. She considers the racial otherness of black women as a visible reality. She asserts that white women find it difficult to read black women's writings because they find it difficult to acknowledge black women as women. They cannot admit they are different from white women. However, Audre Lorde considers female circumcision among black women to be a crime against black women. She does not romanticize it as part of communitarian politics. Some of her perspectives on sexuality challenge the homophobia of the black community. She argues that black women are not a great vat of homogenized chocolate milk. There are different faces or pluralities among them, and those differences are the part of their existence. She considers heterosexism and homophobia as obstacles to the mobilization of black women. She argues that heterosexism is simply one form of love. Homophobia, according to her, is a terror that is centered on the love for, among the same sex. It results in hate. She challenges the retrogressive position of the black community against black lesbianism. They consider the lesbian as a threat. According to Audre Lorde, the institution of the black family is withered due to broken families, children out of wedlock, and so on. She gives the perceptions of black feminists on the family. Thus, she argues that black lesbians do not deviate from their community. They also believe in the family. Audre Lorde argues that European history provides a conditioned understanding of human difference on the basis of simplified binary opposites. The subjects of systematic oppression such as black, third world people, working class, older people, women and so on occupy the field of the dehumanized inferior. 1984. Lorde contends that the oppressed should teach the oppressor about her mistakes. Lorde expands the conceptual terrain of the notion oppressed to sections such as Afro-American children, blacks, third world people, women, gays, and lesbians. Lorde deconstructs the dominant feminist categories such as sisterhood, which erases the intersections of race, sexual preference, class and age. Lorde also emphasizes the determinations of class and economic differences. She also explores internal patriarchy through the atrocities that happen against black women. At the same time, Lorde engages within the differences of black women in a meaningful manner. Based on the above, we can say that Audre Lorde founded the premises of black lesbian sisterhood. The intersectionalist approach is a prominent discourse in critical race theory. It engages with race and gender. Kimball Crenshaw is one of the founders of critical race theory. She is an African American critical race theorist who teaches law at the University of California, Los Angeles. According to her, the category of intersectionality denotes the multiple levels of interaction related to race and gender. It investigates how race and gender intersect in constructing the political, structural, and representation dimensions of violence against women of color. This category also challenges the project of identity politics that homogenizes identities. It focuses on competing identities. Women of color are theorized as the product of intersections of race and gender. It also deals with the nuances of the marginalization of black women. In the next section, you will learn about the civil rights movement and fundamental debates related to Afro-American intelligentsia. It will help you to understand the epistemic, plural voices related to the Afro-American ideas. It will also help you to rethink about the intellectual predecessors of black feminist thought and praxis. 3.4.1 Civil rights movement and fundamental debates related to Afro-American intelligentsia. Civil rights are analyzed as the rights that are considered as part of all members in a society. It exists with the support of the law. It cannot be ignored by the individuals and state. Civil rights protect the individuals from the state. There are limits to such protection. Its identities with the rights of the others or common good. Idea of rights for citizen was already part of the political order. It is noted that ideas of rights in legal framework became central due to civil rights movement. Modern version of civil rights starts from that of American Civil War. Brown vs. Board, Topeka, 1954, and the 1964 civil rights legislation for Hortense J. Spillers was central to the Afro-American scholarship. Martin Luther King's interventions in the context of civil disobedience too played an important role in determining their political consciousness. Stokely Carmichael's Kwame Ture perspectives on Black Power and the emergence of Malcolm X, the National Black Panther Party, after the assassination of Martin Luther King also were the central movements of Afro-American political assertions. Watts Rebellion, 1965, erupted in the Los Angeles and the assassination of Malcolm El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz also were part of those political transformations. Assassinations of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy also are analyzed in the backdrop of the politics of the subjugated race. Radical and pluralistic democracy, for Hortense J. Spillers, can be seen during the period of 1968 to 1970. Majority of the African American students became part of the dominant education system during that period. The agitation for women's studies and black studies too made major changes in the humanities curriculum. It needs to be also understood in the context of debates on philosophy, linguistics, structuralist criticism, feminism. According to Hortense Spiller, the era of 1960s was period of crisis for black intellectuals. Hortense Spillers engages with the above-mentioned historical trajectory in relation to his reading of Harold Cruz's Crisis of the Negro Intellectual. Martin R. Delany's Niagara Movement, 1905, also created major impact on the black political consciousness. W. E. B. Du Bois's Pan-Africanism is also linked to that political context. Hortense Spiller's analyses, how Harold Cruz discusses about Harlem Renaissance, Philip A. Payton's Afro-American Realty Company etc. There were nationalists, integrationists and radical historical materialists among the Afro-American American intellectuals activists. Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement too is usually discussed in relation to black nationalism. Spillers, 1988, 67 to 122, the aforementioned black articulations are considered as some of the unique intellectual deliberations in the history of the struggles against the race. The following section discusses about the multiple voices within the cultural articulations in the field of music. It explores the interlinkages that exist between race, gender and music. 3.4.2 Music. Contribution of Afro-American women in the field of music need to be understood in the context of the history of Afro-American music. There are diverse schools and approaches within the broad spectrum of Afro-American music. Fisk University, Jubilee Singers, Bessie Smith, Thomas Dorsey, Charlie Mingus, Phineas Newburn, Mulgrew Miller, Willie Mitchell, Booker T. M.G.'s, Thelonious Monk, and Keith Jarrett are some of the renowned Afro-American musicians. Spillers, 1988, 92, The Relations of Gender and Race Within the Rubric of Black Music, also show the rigor and pluralism within Afro-American intellectual articulations. Angela Y. Davis discusses about the blue legacies and black feminism. According to Angela Davis, there are ironies and discontinuities between blue legacies and black feminism. At the same time, feminist proclivities emerge from patriarchal, narrow openings. It is analyzed that the historical context within which the blues developed, a tradition of openly addressing both female and male sexuality, reveals an ideological framework that was specifically African American. Emerging during the decades following the abolition of slavery, the blues gave musical expression to the new social and sexual realities encountered by African Americans as free women and men. The former slaves' economic status had not undergone a radical transformation. They were no less impoverished than they had been during slavery. It was the status of their personal relationships that was revolutionized. For the first time in the history of the African presence in North America, masses of black women and men were in a position to make autonomous decisions regarding the sexual partnerships into which they entered. Sexuality thus was one of the most tangible domains in which emancipation was acted upon and through which its meanings were expressed. Sovereignty in sexual matters marked an important divide between life during slavery and life after emancipation. Davis, 1998, 43-44. Religious and secular slave music, for Angela Davis, is collective music. It reflected the community's struggle for freedom. Blues music emerged as a secular music of the Black American music in the 20th century. Black music enriched the various genres grounded in the Afro-American realities. Sexual and bodily nuances were central to the forms. Within blues music, there were women blues singers such as Gertrude Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith. Gertrude Ma Rainey is called as the mother of the blues. Their songs abounded with sexual love and connective perceptions about freedom. Those women singers challenged the space of the women within the field of domestic culture. It also reflected on the tensions related to the economic autonomy and imposed domesticity of the black women. They challenged the patriarchy linked to dominant culture. They questioned the politics of gender power ingrained in marriage and heterosexual love. Davis, 1998, 45-120. Hip-hop feminism has unleashed new questions of feminism, music, Afro-American women's assertions. Hip-hop feminism emerged as a particular stream within the culture of hip-hop. It is also linked to the feminist articulations based on hip-hop culture. Joan Morgan is considered as the founding figure of hip-hop feminism. She is the author of the book, When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost, and it is regarded as the foundational text of hip-hop feminism. This school of feminism is epistemologically different from the first and second wave of feminism. Broadly, she addressed the questions of sexism, homophobia and misogyny in hip-hop culture. Her approach is considered as that of post-civil rights, post-feminist and post-soul generation. In the next, you will learn about the queer questions. 3.4.3 Queer questions. There are various debates related to relations of race, gender and queer approaches. Educational approaches and praxis related to anti-race struggles. Afro-American women's debates around sexuality and desire can be understood through such debates. Rhonda Williams discusses about the homophobic tendencies within the black student assertions. Such student groups consider gay and lesbian as a threat to the black nation. These articulations of black nation are couched in heterosexuality. It is part of the racialization of the heterosexism. Some among such homophobic black groups consider heterosexuality as central to white discourse. The question is whether stigma is attached to black free sexuality or not. Rhonda Williams discussed the nuances of heterosexuality and homophilia in the higher educational spaces. She analyzed how black students were polarized on the question of free sexuality. It is also discussed some black student political wings supported the freedom of the black queer community. Questions of addressing black queer predicaments were also analyzed in the context of black queer curriculum. For instance, Rhonda Williams asserts that writings of Nathan and Julian Hay, Haki Madhubsha, Amiri Baraka and Francis Cress Welsing project share common national approach towards black gays and lesbians. They analyzed the queer behavior among blacks as one that emanates from white superiority and as one that polarizes family and kinship. Such cultural discourses denied black subjectivity and agency. Rhonda Williams also shows how parallel publications condemned the assertions of black queers. Williams, 2000, 266-278. Makeda Silveira explored the ways of marginalization of Afro-Caribbean lesbians. Silveira, cited in Williams, 2,278. The aforementioned questions raise some of the core issues related to queer black assertions. Williams, 2000, 266-282. The next section discusses about the debates on Black Lives Matters. It discusses about the nature of contemporary black assertions and its critique to racist polity. 3.4.4 Black Lives Matters. Afro-American assertions acquired a new dimension through movement, Black Lives Matter. It is analyzed as one of the pivotal movements in the history of Afro-Americans. It emerged as a movement against the murder of George Floyd. Black Lives Matter movement is analyzed as more organized than that of the Women's March of 2017. Professor Dave Woodley analyzed it as difficult to ignore the impact of this moment. He analyzed that the civil rights movement that happened was not that dynamic than the Black Lives Matter. She observed that if we added up all those protests during that period, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, but not millions. Woodley, cited in Buchanan, B. and Patel, 2020, it is further noted that the geographic spread of protest is a really important characteristic and helps signal the depth and breadth of a movement's support. Andrews, cited in Buchanan, B. and Patel, 2020, Dave Woodley analyzed that activists deployed new media platforms to accelerate the momentum of the movement. This peculiar assertion is also noted due to its political strategies. It is noted that Black Lives Matter has been around since 2013, but there's been a big shift in public opinion about the movement as well as broader support for recent protests. A deluge of public support from organizations like the NFL and NASCAR for Black Lives Matter may have also encouraged supporters who typically would sit on the sidelines to get involved. Buchanan, B. and Patel, 2020. Black feminists responded to this movement in different manner. It is asserted that all women should support movements like Black Lives Matter because police violence is a women's issue. It impacts the livelihood of thousands of black and brown women, and therefore, it deserves the same attention, the same outrage, and the same collective energy as the Women's March. White women, in particular, should support such movements because they are afforded a privilege that many others are not, the privilege of being protected when congregating in protest. That privilege, when recognized and properly wielded by allies to support marginalized people, can help women of color to advance their causes in a meaningful way. Waters, 2017, 207. This movement also prompted black feminists to reassert the historical necessity of certain feminist theorist formulations. It is also analyzed that modern feminists must continue to fight for the margins, as well as the center, if they wish to truly empower all women and create lasting change. The Women's March showed the world that 5 million people can rally behind a cause. 48 Modern feminists must capitalize on that energy and truly embrace intersectionality because 5 million women in protest could end state violence. 5 million women standing in solidarity could change the world. Waters, 2017, 207. In the next section, you will learn about the black feminist engagements with films. Check your progress to write your understanding on Black Lives Matters with the help of examples. 3.4.5 Black feminist engagements with films. Black feminist approaches have also appeared in the films and documentary. There are larger questions related to the relations of race, social composition of film producers, crew and larger audience irrespective of race. There are diverse ways of reading the gaze and film culture in the context of race, class and gender. Kendra Brown analyzes whether the films such as Waiting to Exhale, Daughters of The Dust and the Watermelon Woman, based on black women in the 1990s, led to any sort of exploration regarding the self. The ways in which the tropes of black women are produced in Hollywood is also analyzed in that context. It is analyzed that the 1990s are considered to be a turning point in black cinema. The first black filmmaker, Oscar Mico, began creating work in 1919 under his own production company. In the early 20th century, black filmmakers had to fund their own work. Even in the late 20th century, black filmmakers continued to create films outside of Hollywood. Cane River, 1982, directed by Horace Jenkins, and Losing Ground, 1982, directed by Kathleen Collins, are now critically acclaimed films that were recently rediscovered and restored, but both filmmakers died before they could obtain a theatrical release. Thus, the support and access black filmmakers received in the 1990s was historic and groundbreaking. Brown, 2021. According to Kendra Brown, successful black filmmakers such as Spike Lee and John Singleton produced films that explored the themes of problems of urban black people, state and policy-based construction, isolation of blacks, police brutality, and so on. It is critiqued that their films could not capture the agency and dynamic personality of black women. They were portrayed as stereotypes and women without agency. Commercially successful films about black women such as Waiting to Exhale, 1995, directed by Forest Whitaker, is about the story of the successful black women and their gendered questions. Daughters of the Dust is the feature film directed by a black woman, Julie Dash. It is a nonlinear film that explored three-generation Gullah women in the peasant family. Another black film, The Watermelon Woman, 1996, is directed by a black woman director, Cheryl Dunya. In addition to the aforementioned debates on black films, Kendra Brown analyzes that Cheryl Dunya's film probes the issues of sexuality in the context of modern issues. Cheryl Dunya observed that I know it has to be about black women, because our stories have never been told. Dunya, cited in Kendra Brown observes that studio-funded movies often perpetuate stereotypes about black women in order to profit and appeal to mainstream audiences. As an industry, Hollywood has no interest in depicting stories that are actually about black women, even if black women are visible and represented in the story. We must think about how black women are being represented, and whether representation is worth repeating the same stereotypes being perpetuated. In film, the visibility of black women on screen and behind the camera can give audiences an illusion of liberation. Representation matters, but at what expense? It is further noted that independent filmmakers, specifically black women directors, have been actively working to liberate black women from these stereotypes. The absence of the studio creates the opportunity for stories to be nuanced and reach beyond the confines of a capitalistic industry. Even though independent filmmakers have difficulty with securing funding and distribution, their artistic voices and authenticity in storytelling are able to prevail. Brown, 2021. Black feminists have also challenged the theoretical problems related to the film theory. It is analyzed that persistent critique of psychoanalytic film theory has also come from black feminism, which rebuked its exclusive focus on sexual difference and its failure to deal with racial difference. An inclusion of black feminist theory and of a historical approach into feminist film theory was necessary in order to understand how gender intersects with race and class in cinema. Gaines, 1988, Young, 1996. The influential feminist critic Bell Hooks, 1992, argued that black viewers have always critically responded to Hollywood, allowing for an oppositional spectatorship for black women. Richard Dyer, 1993, put forward that cinema constructs whiteness as the norm by leaving it unmarked. The eerie property of whiteness to be nothing and everything at the Same time is the source of its representational power. Smelik, 2016. Race and gender thus are scrutinized in the context of Afro-American interventions in the field of films. 3.5 Summary. In this unit, you have learnt about the debates on race and gender in the context of the emergence of Black feminism. It also introduces you to some of the core debates within the Afro-American feminist assertions. In addition to its introduction to the Black feminist articulations, it also discusses about the trajectory of civil rights movement. It probes the questions of race and gender in the context of music. It further delves into the nuances of Black queer debates. This unit also examines the debates around politics of resistance against race through the Black and Black feminist engagements in the field of films. Broadly, the plural and vibrant dimensions of Black feminism are central to this unit. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video with the next chapter.